afternoon, everybody. Thank you for coming out to the most historic square in the United States of America. As you know, we have spent a lot of time in this administration elevating Philadelphia's profile internationally, reaching out to our friends in the Consular Corps, and Carlos Gibral, I want to particularly acknowledge you as you're representing not only Mexico, you're here representing the entirety of the Consular Corps, so thank you for being here. They didn't tell you that, did they? No, right. That's okay. Good. Thank you for accepting. And in the process of doing that, we've really come to be able to appreciate more and advocate more for Philadelphia's extraordinary standing in the world. Today is called Solidarity with World Heritage City Days. You'll hear a little bit more explanation about what that means, but we're here today to make a down payment on something that is very important to the city that's been developed in partnership with Global Philadelphia, that you'll hear from John Smith in a few minutes, and that is to make Philadelphia the first and only thus far World Heritage City in the United States. Thank you. And we're doing this here today. St. Joe Prep, all right. And we're doing this here today because we're standing in front of Independence Hall, a World Heritage Site. In fact, the only one in the United States that is totally embedded in a big American city. So with that, to explain more about what we're doing here today, I want to introduce the person who has advocated for this most tirelessly, has traveled internationally and helped our cause, Mayor of Philadelphia, Michael Nutter.
Good afternoon, everyone, and Alan, thank you very, very much. You're going to hear from a couple other speakers, and I certainly want to recognize more than a few folks. Alan and his team, Deputy Mayor for Economic Development and our Commerce Director, he and certainly Luke Butler and the entire Commerce Department have been integral to our efforts in this regard. You're going to hear from Councilman Mark Squilla, who certainly understands, again, the international nature of a big city like Philadelphia and what we can bring on the world stage. Barry Eisworth, who's co-chairing this effort for full membership as a World Heritage City. John Smith, who is the incredible chair of Global Philadelphia Association. And I want to thank all of the board members. Please recognize John Smith and all the board members of Global Philadelphia. Zabeth Tidluxi, who is the executive director of Global Philadelphia. Thank Zabeth as well. And I know Nancy Gilboy, who is here. I saw her earlier. Citizen Diplomacy International. Nancy, thank you very, very much. A new title for him today is, as Alan conferred, representing the entire Consular Corps of the City of Philadelphia, at least in this moment. Our Consul General, Carlos Gibral. Thank you, Carlos, for being here so very, very much. For the Mayor's Office of Immigrant and Multicultural Affairs, Jennifer Rodriguez and Fernando Trevino. And hosting us a little later on, of course, the great leader of urban engineers, Ed Alba. Ed, thank you and your team so much. And I think we could not be in this particular spot but for great leadership in our relationship, naturally, with Independence National Historic Park. And we want to thank Deputy Superintendent B.J. Dunn. B.J., thank you very, very much. We're here today, of course, to stand with the great cities of heritage around the world, heritage, history, and culture all across the globe. Philadelphia rightly claims its place, of course, in that exclusive club of cities. When we talk about American heritage or the history of the United States, it's right here. That's it. It's right behind me. Of course, the one, the only Independence Hall. The traditions, the beliefs, the ideals through which we pursue a more perfect union had their origin right here. And it's right, of course, that UNESCO has recognized Independence Hall as a World Heritage Site, and that we build on that today by naming this street, this section of Walnut Street, as World Heritage Way. Working with Global Philadelphia, the Global Philadelphia Association, and the many people who cherish the role of Philadelphia and what we have done and the role that we have played through history at the very beginning of our nation, and later, of course, as the beacon of freedom around the world. My administration is committed to enhancing Philadelphia's place on that global stage, emphasizing both the history we've made and the amazing things that we're doing today and will expect to continue to do well into the future. Last year, I was very proud to announce that Philadelphia joined the Organization of World Heritage Cities as an observer member. Since that time, we've worked very closely with the organization to pursue full membership and to gain broader recognition as a World Heritage City. John Smith will have more to say about that in a few minutes. In addition, from day one, our administration has embraced the international community, and I've made it a priority to promote Philadelphia across the state, across America, and around the world. I believe that it is vitally important that we build new relationships, that we welcome businesses from beyond our shores, and create global opportunities for companies to come to our city. As a result of connections made in China, in the UK, in Israel, and France, just to name a few, we are now in regular communication with companies from those countries and many others who are actively exploring establishing a presence, a full presence, a working presence here in Philadelphia. They're working with Alan Greenberger and his team over at the Commerce Department, including our new Director of International Business, Sabna Bhatt, to build the connections to make Philadelphia their gateway into the United States of America. You see, when people hear a little bit about Philadelphia, they want to hear more. And I'll never forget the time when a young visitor, she had just been in the United States for a couple of days, she was part of the Eisenhower Fellow Program from Korea. Sitting in my cabinet room, she actually chastised me for allowing Philadelphia to be a secret. I said, well, it's not my goal that we're a secret, and we're trying to do something about it. But, you know, from time to time, and it's very easy to lay things on the shoulders of our Quaker heritage, or maybe it's just that we're uncomfortable promoting ourselves or bragging about who we are, and sometimes we don't spread the word as much as we should. But I know that visitors and newcomers and recent immigrants are some of the proudest people of the city of Philadelphia, and they talk about us all to their friends and around the world. And so we just have to get a little more comfortable with talking about our great city to so many, many others whenever we have the opportunity. Well, I'm determined to change that mindset, and I know that all of you here today share that same ambition. So let us spread the word. Let us gain the recognition that our city so rightly deserves. Let us claim our true spot as one of the world's great heritage cities. And lastly, I just have to add this today. Today, of course, is the first day of school for our public school students in Philadelphia. And to become a truly world-class city, we have to provide a truly world-class education for our young people. And when we do that, there are no bounds to their achievements. They will, in fact, become great Philadelphia citizens. They'll be great Americans. They'll be great citizens of the world. But it starts with education. And on this first day of school, congratulations to the students and parents who are doing the right thing, who came to school today, who are trying to do their best under struggling and challenging economic times. But our greatness will only be defined by how well and how much we invest in our young people, because we're investing in ourselves, we're investing in our future. And when we understand who we are and what our true heritage is, we'll understand that the value of education will in fact make Philadelphia, will make America the great city and country that we want to be on the world stage. Congratulations, and I look forward to our other speakers. Thanks a lot.
Even simple things like this sign, which you'll see at the corners, already installed, thanks to the Department of Streets, takes a lot of effort from a lot of people. And one of the people who has been tireless in his support of our global ambitions and certainly today, in a very small but important way, making sure this sign happens, is our councilman from the 1st District, Mark Squilla.
Thank you, and it's a great honor and a privilege for me to be here today to work along with the administration to make this happen. You know, representing the 1st District, it's a great district here in the city of Philadelphia, but it's home to Independence Hall, and now an UNESCO World Heritage Site, and one of the most important and meaningful places in the United States of America. History, culture, and tourism play a huge role in the vitality of our 1st District and our great city. And it's right that Philadelphia pursue even greater international recognition of our role in World Heritage. You know, we're proud to be only U.S. city within the organization of World Heritage Cities, as I am excited to help this effort, and doing that, working with the administration and renaming Walnut Street between 5th and 6th and the World Heritage Way. This is something that we cannot do without all our colleagues in council who unanimously voted to rename the street here on Walnut Street. So this is a true collaborative effort, and we cannot do it alone. And the funny part about it is sometimes the people who live in Philadelphia, the generational folks who've grown up here, sometimes are pessimistic about our city, and they look at all the bad things. But when you meet the people who come visit Philadelphia, and you actually go out there and speak to them and talk to them, they actually fall in love with the city. And my brother's daughter, my niece, just got married over the weekend, and we had a lot of people in from outside the city who came in and actually toured it, stayed here a couple days, and they were really blown away by what we have to offer with our arts and culture and our history. So we have something to really show, and we're proud of what we have here in Philadelphia, and we need to continue to work together to make that happen. And I just like to say this is a great moment, not only for me and not only for the mayor, but all of the city of Philadelphia. So thank you so much for having me, and let's enjoy this great honor. Thank you.
History is, it seems so, we take it for granted a little bit. We're standing in Independence Square, and it's sometimes a little hard for us to remember that in that building behind us, people who created this country and created the freedoms that we all live in and under, argued, debated, drank a couple of blocks over, wrote a document, and came out on July 4th, 1776, right through that door, and read this document to what was going to become a new country. And the preservation and the enrichment of that as a piece of American history is part of the great mission of the National Park Service. So I'm very pleased to introduce to you today the Acting Superintendent of Independence National Historical Park, B.J. Dunn.
Good afternoon, and on behalf of the National Park Service, officially a welcome to Independence National Historical Park. Behind me, and the reason we're gathering at this location today, as was just stated, is Independence Hall, a World Heritage Site. The discussion of the universal principles of the right to revolution and to self-government that are expressed in the Declaration of Independence and in the Constitution, both of which were debated, adopted, and signed here, had a profound effect on lawmakers, politicians, and governments around the world. The fundamental concepts of these two documents have influenced charters in many nations, and even in the United Nations Charter itself. Our nation grew out of the events that happened here, and we've continued to lead the way for the world. In 1872, our nation initiated the worldwide movement to protect certain areas as national treasures when we identified our first national park. I know you all know it, Yellowstone. 100 years later, the United States proposed the World Heritage Convention to the international community, and we were the first nation to ratify that. The World Heritage Convention, the most widely accepted international conservation treaty in human history, is the American national park idea being carried out worldwide. Today, 191 nations have ratified that convention. 1,007 sites have been placed on the World Heritage List. In the United States, the Secretary of Interior, through the National Park Service, is responsible for identifying and nominating U.S. sites to that World Heritage List. Independence Hall is one of 22 sites in the United States that are World Heritage Sites, and of those it is one of only 9 cultural sites. We're a little bit biased here, but we like to think that it's the best one. The value of this listing cannot be overstated. Through our involvement with the World Heritage Convention, we are able to share our history and our ideals with people from all over the world. Many of them come to Philadelphia to visit Independence Hall just because it is a World Heritage Site. We celebrate this marker in the naming of this portion of Walnut Street as World Heritage Way. The National Park Service thanks everyone for your support of this great, iconic, historic resource. Thank you so much for being here.
This microphone keeps creeping up. I don't know why. Lastly, to take us home, this is, as I said earlier, this sign, the naming of this street, is a down payment on a much bigger idea, and that is to have Philadelphia become the first United States World Heritage City and full member of the World Heritage City Organization. We do that in partnership with a great private group called Global Philadelphia, an invention very much of our next speaker, and someone and with his team that we are very proud to be partnering in this effort. So, John Smith, the chairman of the Global Philadelphia Association.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm pleased to be here, and I'm pleased to be here with Zabet and a helicopter. And with our executive director, Zabet Tilak Singh, and a number of members of the staff of the Global Philadelphia Association. I, too, would like to add my welcome to the ones you've already heard. I'd like to ask you to do something. Take a look over my shoulder. Over there, that statue. Commodore Barry. What's he doing? He's pointing somewhere. He's pointing at World Heritage Way. And if you close your eyes for just a moment, your mind's eye can see something else. Maybe it's Benjamin Franklin who strolled that very block. Maybe it's George Washington. Maybe John Adams. Maybe Tom Jefferson. And maybe it was William Howe. Let's not forget that he spent the winter of 1777 and 78 right here while we were freezing out in Valley Forge. A lot has happened here, and a lot of people have come this way. The word of the day, I think, W-A-Y, have come this way. But we needn't rest on our 17th, 18th century laurels. I think it's very important that we remember that Philadelphians and people who come here are making history, world history, every single day. Even in our lifetimes, a veritable parade of world movers and shakers has come through this town. Just to name a few, Margaret Mead, the famous cultural anthropologist. Marian Anderson, born in Philadelphia, one of the greatest singers in the history of the world. Chaim Potok, philosopher, public individual. Stan Getz, who's a jazz fan. Grace Kelly, who's not a fan of Grace Kelly. Some were born elsewhere, but came this way, this World Heritage Way, to thrill the world with their talent. Louis Kahn, one of the great architects of the world. M. Night Shyamalan, young movie maker who's taking the world by storm. These are Philadelphians. Other world figures came here to be recognized with the Liberty Medal for their contributions on the global stage. You will know Tony Blair, you will know U2's Bono. You will know Mikhail Gorbachev. You will know Korea's Kim Dae-jung. And Presidents George H.W. Bush, and Bill Clinton, who won the Liberty Medal here in 2006. These people came to our city because of its world heritage. Now, what interests Global Philadelphia? This association of about 140 stakeholders in what is international about Philadelphia. What interests us? Well, we're interested in Ben and Tom and George, and we're interested in all the people who came along in between. But we are mostly interested in you, the people who are making world history right here, right now, in our day and age. And this is one of the things that drives us to say Philadelphia doesn't just have a backward-looking view of history. We have a forward-looking view of our potential. And that's what the World Heritage City Project is all about. Mr. Mayor, Mr. Councilman, BJ, Alan, Barry Eisworth, who are the co-chairs of the World Heritage City Project here in this city, we're in your debt. We applaud what you're doing. We need to get behind you because, frankly, the naming of this street, as important as it is only the first step. This street leads somewhere. The road leads to Quebec, where the Organization of World Heritage Cities is located. The road also leads to Washington, D.C., where the Park Service is headquartered, and where the Department of Interior is headquartered, and where the Department of State is headquartered, because we have to go through all of them before we get to Paris, which is where UNESCO is located. So we have a long journey. It's going to take time. It's going to take talent. It's going to take money. And we're going to be after you. We've got a prospectus. We want you to know this is worth doing, and you need to contribute. Global Philadelphia, with all of its members, is also trying to bring international to Philadelphia every day of the week through making connections, through our website, and through the international expos that we have taken on as our own project. 140 institutions, individuals, governmental bodies coming together as they did in the fall of 2013 to create Global Philly 2013. 117 events in 47 days. Wow. But just wait, because next fall, the fall of 2015, we're going to do something that's even bigger and better. Global Philly 2015. And organizations, individuals, governments, businesses, all across this city are going to show their stuff and tell the world this is truly a World Heritage City. Thank you very much.